Nope, she does not want to be on camera today. That's okay, there you go. Hi. Hi, Soleil.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the YouTube channel. So this aspect of Wildfire is new, right? We are not new. However, we haven't put much time or attention into YouTube the last couple of years. That was for a variety of reasons. Part of it was because when I started Wildfire, was a one-man show, right? It was just me. And so if you go and look at some of the older videos that we've now put up on the YouTube page, it's literally my camera set off to the side on a table propped up against something way far away where you guys can barely see anything because I didn't have anybody to help me. I do have people to help me now. My man Joe is actually usually behind the camera. You guys have seen him in a couple of videos. Normally he's the one man in the camera, although I do have a few other people that help me out now as well. So what's the point of this video today? The point of this video is just some basics on reticulated pythons, AKA retics. I wanted to give you guys a brief history. There's some info on the website, but not a ton, right? So first things first, why retics, right? I've been into reptiles since I was a little kid, like 6, 7 years old. When I was growing up, I would run around and catch frogs and snakes and lizards and whatever I could find and keep them in shoe boxes in my closet, put them, anywhere I could because my parents couldn't stand it. To this day, my dad still can't stand my obsession with reptiles. And I was never really allowed to have snakes when I was growing up, right? So it was all like this, it was kind of this taboo thing. So that made, of course, any kid, when you can't do something, you want to do it even more, right? So fast forward, college. And there's actually a photo I found the other day that we'll throw in here so you guys can see what a little jit I was back in college. But when I got to college, I started collecting snakes, ball pythons, of course, because why not? And ball pythons, and I had some corn snakes, and then I got some red-tailed boas, BCCs, not BCIs. And then I got a Burmese python, then I got another Burmese python. And then, so I lived in Fort Myers, Florida, in college. And again, giving you guys a little history on me. I lived in Florida for 12 years. And when you live in South Florida, obviously reptiles are everywhere, but the reptile scene in Florida is huge, especially back in the early 2000s. And so I spent a ton of time around guys, like I went down to Tom Crutchfield's, I went up to Robbie's place when Robbie was still in Fort Myers before they moved up towards Tampa. Anyways, so I spent a lot of time in reptile shops and things like that, learning about them, things of that nature. And I decided, because I was much younger, faster, and dumber, that owning venomous animals, venomous snakes, would be a good idea. So I've kept everything from corn snakes to cobras, ball pythons to an eastern green mamba. My favorite venomous animals are West African gaboon vipers. I had a breeding pair. To this day, I miss them. But yeah, so that's a little history on me and snakes. So back to why retics, right? So when I was in college, the only guys that had retics, and especially any sort of morph retics, were Jay from Prehistoric Pets and Bob Clark. And they sold their albino retics for thousands of dollars. And as a college kid, I really couldn't afford that. So never, that, and I just didn't have the space for a retic, which is something that, I hear a lot now from people is they would love to have a retic, but they don't have the space. And space is definitely a concern when you're talking about owning a retic. So about eight years ago, when I moved to Colorado, I had always wanted a single retic, and I'd always wanted an albino retic. Actually, the first retic I ever wanted was a white phase albino. No, that's not what I'm holding in my hands. We'll get to that in a second. Anyways, I'd always wanted a white phase albino. I thought those were, the coolest retics out there, which I now have an albino white phase retic, which we'll get out here in a second. But anyways, so when I got to Colorado, I always wanted one, so what did I do? I went and found a retic. Now, it wasn't a white face. That was not the first retic I ever owned. First retic I ever owned was a purple phase albino. To this day, if you guys know me, I am still very, very obsessed with T-positive albino retics. What's a T-positive? It's a purple albino. It's a caramel. It's an orange glow. It's a moschino or a mocha. All those are T-positive albinos, and those are still my favorites. Combine them with other genes, they just get better. Like this guy right here, this caramel sunfire, his name is Smiles. You see his little markings on his head right there, kind of looks like a smile. So that's why we named him that. This guy was produced last year from my Orange Glow Sunfire times Orange Glow breeding, and I am stoked to have him. Anyways, so how did Wildfire start? So I got my first retic in early 2013, like I said, 8 years ago. And that was the only retic I had for about 4 years. Unfortunately, that retic passed away. It was a freak accident. I left town for Thanksgiving. I lived in the mountains in Colorado. My house lost power during a snowstorm. No one was home. Snake died. It was very unfortunate. I was bummed out, and actually, if you actually go back, I'm gonna sidebar this real quick. If you actually go back to the very first video we have ever posted on the YouTube page, it says Baraka, the papa that started it all. Baraka was my very first retic, and there's a video of him in the grass out in Colorado. So if you guys want to see that, go check it out. However, I had Baraka. Baraka passed away, and I was not about to be without a retic. And so back to the boards I went, and when I started diving back into the boards and looking for another purple albino, I discovered how many other genetics had been not necessarily created, but had been developed. Moschino, caramels, all the different genetics. And I went off the deep end. I was in a position at that point that I could kind of buy whatever I wanted in terms of genetics, and that was kind of what I did. I went from 0 retics to 16 in about 10, 11 weeks. Those of you who have gotten the retic bug, you understand exactly how that goes. You can't just have one, you want them all. And I was the exact same way. So started collecting retics, and that was the only point. I just wanted to collect them. I had no intentions of breeding them. I just wanted to have a badass collection of snakes. Come around to early 2018. And I've talked about this briefly before, but I'll go a little bit more in depth. So I've said to you guys a lot that this is not what I do for a living, right? That this is my hobby, and it is. What do I do for a living? I'm in the cannabis industry. I am now a cannabis cultivation consultant because I can't currently have any licenses in my name anymore, and that is because of what happened in 2018. 2018, I was in the medical cannabis cultivation industry in Colorado. I had my own cultivation facility, and I got raided by the federal government. I got raided, I got shut down, and I went through a very long ordeal, 18 months to be exact, of indictments and legal battles with the federal government as well as the state of Colorado over what I was doing, and it's another story for another day, but that was kind of the gist of it. And in that period of time, I was facing a whole bunch of time in prison. I really didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know what my future looked like. And so I really put my attention into these animals. It was my respite, it was my kind of my safe haven, and it was something I could do to take my mind off all the craziness that was happening in my life. And that's where Wildfire Retics was born. Now, where did I come up with the name Wildfire Retics? So my slogan is ignite your passion, right? Because these snakes, they are a passion for me. It's something that I love to do. And what happened with me was I got one retic, had that for a while, and then when I dove in, my passion spread like wildfire. And that is where I came up with the name Wildfire Retics. So, told you guys that white phase was my first love with retics. This is my white phase girl, Aspen. So, this is a prime example of what a white phase should look like. She was not produced by me. She was produced by my boy, Paul Lucas, who, in my opinion, had the best albino genetics in the game. And that's why almost all my just straight Clark strain albino genetics came from him. So this girl is 4 years old. She is not small, as you can see. Her mama was real big, and she has very big genetics behind her. So hoping this girl's gonna keep growing the way she has for us. But again,
let's see her laid out, if we can get her laid out.
Yeah, sure.
Really let people understand kind of what her size is like.
Come on.
Hi, big girl. Hi.
Come on, big girl.
So as you guys can see, she is absolutely stunning.
So that's a textbook example of a white phase, guys. Straight up. You don't get any better than this. That bright snow white contrast with the that canary yellow. And this is representative of the very first retic that I ever had. No, this actual snake is not the very first retic that I ever had. As I said, unfortunately that retic passed away. This is my girl Soleil. She also came from Paul Lucas, because one thing Paul and I absolutely agree on is this is how a purple albino should look. That canary yellow head, that's how they're supposed to look. I mean, again, simple single recessive gene. It just doesn't get better than this, guys. Like, you know, if you were just gonna have one snake, and I tell people that all the time, if you're just looking for one retic, something like a purple albino or a white face, like, you're just not gonna beat it, man. You're just not.
There you go, big girl. Hi. Nope, she does not want to be on camera today. That's okay, there you go. Hi. Hi, Soleil. Can you stay here? Okay.
But yeah, that's the first retic I ever had, guys. So again, there's a little history for you. Hope you guys enjoy.